we got another backstage look of Nebraska football, and probably one of the more fascinating ones that we've ever had in my time covering the program. We were with Corey Campbell, and he broke down strength and conditioning. We talked to Mitch Chulwitzki. Did I get that right?
Nope.
Okay.
Chulwitzki. Yeah. Chulwitzki.
And then we talked to Kristen over at Nebraska.
Kristen
Coggin at Nebraska's nutrition and performance department. Spent a lot of time over there. Got to see the new weight room, and that was fascinating to me to get a look at the new weight room for the very first time in person.
There it is.
Just the sheer size of it, the natural lighting that comes.
Thank you for saying that. That's beautiful. I mean that.
And then the access to the field right from the weight room.
Right. So, yeah, the guys, Mitch Chulwitzki, who is Nebraska's coordinator of football sports science, they both Chulwitzki and Corey Campbell talked about things like space and flow. I mean, the space is self-explanatory, right? But flow is important too. In the previous setup, and I wrote this, so I'm just reading from the story. You can tell me if I'm accurate. Nebraska football players had to walk from the indoor practice field to a nearby staircase, climb the steps in single file, then walk for a few more minutes to reach the weight room in North Stadium. I'd say 5 minutes. 5-minute walk.
But just cumbersome,
Yeah, in the new setup, as you saw, Sean, the transition involves walking from the practice field straight into the weight room, which you could, in that entrance, you could drive a semi-trailer truck through that, right? So everybody can just walk in. It's kind of inviting. I mean, weight rooms aren't generally inviting, but it's a clean, beautiful setup they have.
Oh, and just the recovery areas too.
You saw that. I did not see that.
The cold tub is massive. I mean, the cold pool, or I wouldn't even call it a tub. It's a pool. And they can get that down to as cold as you want. He goes, the lowest we'll usually ever go would be like 42 degrees.
42 seems cold enough to me.
Yeah. And he goes, then you're starting to, you get hypothermia.
You don't want to freak everybody out.
That cold, they could fit, several players in there after a practice, after a workout. Then they have the hot tub, the sleeping pods, the steam rooms and saunas. These were things Nebraska never had before. I mean, just in terms of recovery. And I think when Rule got here, this was one of the real wrinkles he put on the project.
Recovery. Yes. He emphasized, remember really early on after Rule got hired, the word recovery became more part of our lexicon. He emphasizes that. You're right. And it makes sense. It's common sense, right? I mean, what are you trying to do with football players? You're just trying to get them on the field as much as they can, especially, all of them. But if your best player can't practice and he continually can't practice, then at some point he's not going to be your best player anymore. So, recovery is critical in the sport of football because of the nature of it. Now I got to quit just stating the obvious and move on here.
The barber shop was interesting.
Barber shop.
I didn't know they were having and is there a barber? I didn't know this, if there was a barber in there or how that works. But there's still a little bit of fine tuning going on. Like they're not in the dining room yet. That's not going to happen until August.
Okay.
They're obviously in the weight room. They can fit all 145 players in there if they had to, but
they don't.
It's too many.
They don't want to.
And they want to, so they have a couple of groups. And right now the team, they get 8 hours of or the key word is 8 hours of organized mandatory time a week.
Okay.
6 hours of that is with Corey Campbell. So they have 4 90-minute lifting sessions in the weight room. And then you're allowed 2 hours of on the field time.
Right. So that's the 8 hours.
And those on the field practices take place Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. And I happened to be around when the Tuesday one was happening. And it's a real practice. The coaches are all down there. It's an installation. It's a real practice. They can't have a football out there. So a lot of drill work and a lot of install.
Here's what happens, Sean. You're right. It's not jack around time. What they do in this, and this is what a lot of programs do. This is a period, June, of heavy installation. It's heavy. So they, especially at the start, of OTAs. So what did you write today? They have 7 weeks of OTAs.
Well, basically the summer program is 7 weeks.
Okay. So it's heavy installation on the front end. It tails off, and then they go back over the exact same stuff in camp. They just revisit it. But you can see why it's important, Sean. This is getting ready for the season now. That's what I hope people get out of this particular video. Is June is incredibly important.
And the coaches for all of June are a part of this. And then after they go on the home for the dead period or take a break, then the players start to lead these workouts.
Right. And the strength staff. So the strength staff, I don't know. I don't want to get out over my skis here, but the month of July, the strength staff becomes the coaching staff.
Along with your key veterans.
Yeah, right. Along with your leaders. Yeah.
Like a Hutmacher, a Robinson, a Jamori Butler,
Right.
a Thomas Fedoni.
Who on offense?
I mean,
Fedoni. Who else on offense?
Those linemen, Ben Hart, Prohaska, Ben Scott.
Yep.
It was interesting when we were over there, the guys that you saw like utilizing the recovery and they're the key players. We saw Dylan Raiola in the hot tub. We saw Ben Scott rocking around. The key faces of the team were some of the guys in there getting the work done.
June is getting work done. And I'd say July, but yeah, you remove the coaches from the equation in July. So for not all of July, because they start camp, as you pointed out in your 3-2-1, they start camp. Preseason camp is July 31. So the coaches have to come. They're not going to come back July 30th. I wouldn't think.
No, I think you're back in the office at least a week before, if not more.
Yeah. So there's the setup. I hope that's what I hope people understand. It's not just a recruiting month.
They'll have 3 full weeks off, though, is my guess. The coaches, like, they can get away for at least 3 weeks.
But you know how that goes. They don't get away because they'll be on their phones.
No, and they'll I've talked to Ed Full. I think he's going to New Jersey, because there was an event I was trying to talk to him about doing somewhere, and he's going to be gone. A lot of them will be gone. On the road.
They go on the road, but they they stay in contact with players.
Now, Coach Rule will be around this June or July because his wife is opening her business. So usually he would get away too for a little bit, and he said we'll probably not get away because of what's going on with this, family and the business. So yeah, it's even when he's opening a business in town, it's with his wife. So
God bless him.
He's got a lot on his plate going on right now too.
Yeah. So the backstage look, we really appreciate. We really do. We've never had this. Yeah. I saw a photo of you with a what do you call it?
An apron.
An apron. I've never worn one. I don't intend to.
I'm glad I did though, because it got a little splattery.
Did it? What were you making?
Well, it was like a hibachi kind of rice bowl. And so I put avocado oil in, garlic, vegetables of my choice, protein. So I went with shrimp and a sprinkle of meat, a hamburger in there.
That's good.
Cooked it all
Shrimp and hamburger.
Yeah.
Hibachi.
And then you had rice and noodles.
Sounds good to me.
Teriyaki and soy sauce and just kind of go to town.
Were you allowed to eat it?
Oh, heck yeah.
See, so they probably don't understand what we're talking about here. They give us this tour. Not only did they give you a tour, and not only did they set up a press availability.
There I am, by the way.
They not only set up a press availability, they allowed you to make some food. It's amazing what they did for us. And it gave you material for your column. It gave us a story, Corey Campbell and Mitch Towinski. And by the way, Campbell said that the difference he sees with the players is confidence, more confidence. They know, they fully know what they can do now, and should be that way in year 2, probably year 2 of a program. But that's good to hear.
And one of the things they do on these recruiting trips is kind of what we did. Instead of telling these kids all about the great food, they let them do something engaging and have fun with it.
Oh yeah, you wrote something really interesting. They show current players. They have demonstrations for the current players
to cook at home
and to put some greens and some fruits on your plate, color it up.
They have an air fryer class I saw coming up.
That's amazing. Now, this is all very interesting to me because it's life skills too. I never learned how to cook.
So my mom was a home ec teacher for a big part of her career. And a lot of this stuff she taught junior high students, life skills and took them to like, she actually used to take a group of kids every year to a hibachi restaurant.
Really?
You know, the 7th, 8th grade
Really?
kids from Plattsmouth.
Yeah.
And so they could experience that, because a lot of the kids had never been to somewhere like that, and
Right.
you know, learn how to eat at a nicer restaurant and sit down.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of these players and maybe even journalists had never done anything like that, right?
I've cooked a lot on.
Yeah, you cook a lot. I don't.
I just got a new flat top grill.
Yeah. So you know what you're doing.
Well, I haven't turned it on yet. Haven't had time, Mr. Haven't had a day off in 14. Sipple comes in, he's like, I haven't had a day off in 14 days. And I'm
Well,
like,
I mean, we always tell our families, hey, don't worry. When the season ends, we'll have some time. Then when you tell
there's me
them,
right there cooking.
then when you tell them in June you have no days off, it starts to get a little unwieldy. You know?
Just giving you a hard time.